Hello, we are the Salon Sleuths. My name is Melissa.
And my name is Leslie.
And we are two women from the Pacific Northwest. We are both curious about paranormals, spirit guides, ghosts, past lives.
We are suspicious about true crime, disappearances, and strange phenomenons. We are open to learning about the supernatural and all things we don't understand.
Together, we're opinionated with a splash of smartass. Join us to learn. And stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open.
Follow Salon Sleuths on all major podcast platforms.
Well, hello, Leslie, and all of our Salon Sleuth
Hi.
fans.
Oh my God, Melissa, we're getting some followers, and there is one guy who he always comments on the YouTube channel, and his name is Richard. So I want to do a big shout out that he loves the way you discuss things, and so I just thought we would just do a little shout out to Richard. Yeah, I think he might enjoy this.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, oh my gosh, we've had a huge week, and I feel like there's been like a bajillion like topics that I wanted to cover this week.
Yeah.
And then you and I started texting about the same case that I've been watching. And this morning you were like, hey, do you want to record early? And I'm like, I am immersed in this case. I'm watching this live feed right now. I just was like into this case. So I was like,
okay, wait, let's do the list. What were the list of things that you wanted to talk about?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I mean, it's just the random life stuff, right?
Yes. Okay.
That I went to Palm Springs.
Okay.
And it was hot as butt there. Okay. It was 111. And I know that's not even the hottest they get there. But some funny things happened. One of them being, we were out taking a walk one morning. It was 92 when we started taking a walk. And I see this woman, and she's jogging, kind of jogging towards us with her dog. And she says, oh, I got to get in shape now that the weather's a little crisper. I'm like, there is nothing crisp about the air here. Like,
well, maybe when you go from 120 to 111, it feels like there's a little.
So fast forward, that evening, we took a walk. Maybe it was the previous evening. I can't remember. We took a walk, and at 10 p.m., because we thought, okay, well, maybe it'll just be cooler. There'll be a nice breeze or something. Okay. There was a breeze. It was still 100, 98 maybe, but the warm air was so warm. I felt like, Leslie, I was walking into a heater, like a blowing heater, and it was hurting the eye sockets, which I don't know. Somebody's going to have to explain that to me. Why? And I had my glasses on, thankfully, because it was like not drying out my eyes, but my eye sockets were actually hurting from the heat. I'm like,
weird.
This is so weird, so random. And then we came home, Leslie, and what the hell happened in the 5 days that I was gone?
When it just went to fall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's Oregon. That's Portland, actually. Like,
now this is crisp, people.
Yeah.
I mean,
only in the morning though.
Oh my God.
It gets hot in the afternoon.
Okay. So let's discuss this. Well, hot is relative, right? I mean, it was comfortable yesterday. I was tank top and, thin pants yesterday, but, or towards the day, but the morning. So we came home Wednesday night. You guys, we're recording on a Friday. So we came home on Wednesday night, woke up Thursday morning, and we had a renter taking the van, and it's a friend of ours. So I wanted to get up, and he was coming at 7. And so I go out there. Made it out there probably 7:40 or something like that. It was freezing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's cold. It was 46 degrees at that time. So I'm like, this is true crispness. I mean, 92, not crisp. This crisp. So I literally came back to fall.
Yes.
And been colds, and I'm like, oh, maybe I acclimated a little bit. No, I didn't acclimate. That's a total farce and total lie. I was hot the whole time we were there. We did go to Joshua Tree, which is a national park I'd never been to. I would not say it's probably going to rank up on the top of my list. However, I learned from a lot of people since I've been home that it's like one of their favorites. And I'm like, well, maybe if I don't go in September when it's 100 degrees, every sign said, don't die today. On the,
my God. Did it really?
I swear to God. On like the hiking boards, it says, don't die today. And Yeah.
You should have taken a picture. I would have liked to see that.
I think I have a picture somewhere.
Okay. You need to send it to me.
Yeah. And the what it also said is if you were hiking, you had to drink a liter of water per mile. Okay, I don't know about you. I have a Camelback. It's a 3-liter Camelback.
You can go 3 miles.
Yes. Well, I was going to say
a mile and a half.
We didn't hike, but I was like, okay, if I went a mile and a half out and a mile and a half back, I'd have to drink that whole bag, which I don't know. I do drink a lot of water, so maybe I would, but I was like, okay, that's a lot of water. Like I would never even, I mean, I might drink a half of a liter here hiking in normal conditions. I can't imagine drinking that much water, but yeah, all the signs said, don't die today. Drink a liter of water every mile. And I was like, okay, maybe I won't actually hike here.
Yeah.
And it was so scorchingly hot and the wind was hot that it was not really, I was not feeling it.
No.
Have you been to Joshua Tree?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even know where it is. I just know that song or the album.
Yes. Yes. And Eric loves that album. Actually, to fight, I did research that while I was there, and I was actually going to talk about that, but I mean, a little bit, but the Joshua Tree from U2 is actually not in the park. It's actually outside the park. Quite a way. Well, like 30 minutes, I think. So yeah, it's not even in the park, but this was part of, which we can cover later, but somebody actually killed the tree. So that's that. I don't know if you heard of that. Was probably 5 years ago or something. But since you and I have been back, or since I was coming back and everything, all this story about Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito has just blown up.
Yes.
And I heard that she had gone missing in the Grand Tetons. And for all of our listeners, I was just there with my son. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And I heard the situation, which was that the boyfriend had arrived home early. Actually, I didn't know it was early, but he had arrived home early and says that he just left her on their trip, came home alone without her, which, by the way, there's some discrepancy whether they were fiancé or not. Apparently he asked her to marry him and then they broke off the engagement. So whether they were actually fianced or not, I don't really know. And
they lived at his parents' house for a year before that. Okay.
I need to take a pause because I'm going to sneeze. Did you know I'm a multiple sneezer?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So this whole thing blew up, and then I watched the entire Bodycam.
Same with me.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Did you watch it because I sent it to you, or were you already watching it?
I had already had it and started it because my husband sent it to me, but then you sent it to me too. And I'm like, oh my God, which I had texted you and didn't hit send till this morning that, oh my God, I've been watching this case. But so really I delved into it. And then this morning I was like, eating it for breakfast. I just
good. You probably have a lot more details than I did. I just watched that whole thing and I know a little bit, but
okay, good. Because I want your take on a few things that happened in that. Okay. So for our listeners, here's the deal. On July 2nd, Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito, who let's just say Gabby is 5'5", 110 pounds, soaking wet. They're both from Florida. They had previously been from New York City, actually New York, Long Island, I think it was. And they had been high school sweethearts. They knew each other in high school. They had graduated. She was 22 at the time. They relocated to his parents in Florida. And they had taken a trip in a little car sometime before this across country and decided, you know what, that was too small, too expensive, because they did Airbnbs, it was too expensive. Let's get a van. So she bought a van. I think that is important to know that it was her van. However, I will say that in the body cam, which you and I will discuss in further detail, she does say she doesn't want to drive it long distances.
Right. She was concerned of how far he was going. So
exactly. So I would say that although it was her van, she was really not comfortable driving it.
He was the driver.
So
if they were actually fiancés, it was their van. It was just in her name. Correct. She probably got the loan or whatever.
Yes.
For it. So yes.
Or she had the money. I don't really know.
I bought my Suburban. It's in my name, but my husband and I had the Suburban.
Okay. So it doesn't share names or whatever.
No, like it's under my name. It's the loans in my name. It's all of that. So, but it's our van. It's our Suburban.
Well, we had one car. Yeah. Eric bought me a car for Mother's Day one year. And because I didn't know about it, wasn't there, I wasn't able to sign the papers. So it was always under his name. Right. But it was a gift to me. It was my car. So I totally agree with you. I don't have a problem with that. But it sounds like everyone's like, this was her van that she bought for them. It's just weird
that she wasn't with him when they returned.
Thank you.
So that's the weird part about her owning the van.
Correct. Right.
And she's not there. Okay.
So it's not a huge play. And that's why I wanted to say, look, she wasn't comfortable driving the van.
Yes.
But I'm going to get to that part. So they left on July 2nd, and the last contact, she was an avid vlogger, I should say. They did a van life blog. She was starting a website. She was in the process of sort of getting her social media. She's very active on social media, but she was really kind of ramping it up. I think she wanted to do that for a job is what it sounded like. And she told the police that when, which we'll get to in Utah. But the last contact with her family was in late August from the Grand Tetons. Now, when I first heard that, there is actually some controversy as to when that was, because now they're saying, we don't think that the last couple texts from her, or at least the last text from her, was actually from her. So the dates are a little bit loosey-goosey. And so I want you guys to keep that in mind. If anyone was around that area or saw, the van or was in Utah or whatever, keep your mind open to the fact that I don't even know really that she was in Grand Teton. What I do know is that she was in Utah.
Yes. Okay, but she did text her mom on which day? The last day, the 24th?
Yes, the 24th.
Or she talked to her mom, like they know that it was for sure.
Yes.
Her. Okay.
August 24th, they left Salt Lake City and went to the Grand Tetons, where they spent no more than 2 days. And her last post was on August 25th. But then there was discussion about.
And what was the last post on the 25th?
It was something about, I don't actually know about the 25th, but I kind of did some hovering over her Instagram page. And on August 20th, the Instagram post that was posted, I'm going to admit something. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to Instagram. I had to backtrack the days and everything to figure out what day it was posted. I couldn't figure out which day she had actually posted it, but I think it was August 20th. The Instagram post, everyone was commenting that this Instagram post was different than the way she posted typically. So how she posted in terms of where she tagged things, it was not done the way she always did it. It was done the way he tagged on Instagram, though. And so I am not completely sure that we really know all the details of the last known contact. When does she know? When does the family know? Because they are questioning the last time that they thought they had heard from her, whether it was actually her. So I think that's important to keep in mind.
I was just trying to look up her Instagram. Like, which one is actually her?
So there's two. I think she's Gabs Pepito. There's Gabby Pepito, which is to help find her. But I think it was the Gabs.
Just Gabs Petito?
Yeah, I think so. I can find that for you. So we can do that afterwards too.
Okay, I got it. But I just wanted to see.
Okay, good. Was it Gabs Pepito?
Yes.
Yeah. And now she has over 300,000 followers, which I think was kind of always her dream. I find it sad that we have to be in this situation. There are some haters out there, which, sometimes I hate reading the comments that say, well, maybe this is a balloon boy trick, or, this kind of thing where she's gone missing so that she can get more followers. I don't really think that's the case, but I'm not going to pass judgment on that. I don't think that's probably the case. So let's move on. On August 30th, there was a text, but people don't believe that was actually her now. So that was the August 30th text. But what has happened in the last 2 days is August 12th, they were pulled over, by the Utah police. And they have released the full body cam video. Now, some of the portions of the audio have been blocked out. And now some of them could be for HIPAA reasons, because I know they asked, are you taking any drugs? Was she taking any medications is what they kind of meant.
And some of it said like their birth dates, I think, were bleeped out.
Yes, exactly. So some of that stuff was bleeped out. It was kind of frustrating because I was like, I want to hear what they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
but they were pulled over because he was speeding. And when he pulled over for their lights, he pulled over and rammed into a curb. So they were pulled over, and upon further investigation, Gabby was visibly upset. She had been crying. And I just want to say off the bat, I think that the Utah police did a phenomenal job with this pullover. I was so impressed by how well they handled the case, how well they handled the two of them and listened to the stories. So I think that's really, 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 really important, because I think we need to celebrate those who do well when they do well. And sometimes I get on here and I'm like, police, blah, 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 whatever, authorities, whatever. But I think they did a phenomenal job. So, but basically what happens is she says, hey, this is my fault. I was distracting him from driving. I was upset. I have OCD, which I don't know if OCD is a real mental illness, but now all these people are like, well, with her mental illness, I'm like, dude, she just liked a clean house. I'm not sure she was really OCD. She could have used that term OCD as an exaggerating her condition. It doesn't, a lot of us say, oh, that's my OCD. I don't have clinical OCD, but sometimes I don't want people like messing up my kitchen, right?
Like, when I didn't understand what the whole problem was, like, was she just trying to clean it up before they left? Yes. Or like, I didn't fully understand what the problem was.
I don't think she was completely clear. She was a little bit hysterical. I think she would, they'd been pulled over by the police. She didn't want her boyfriend, Brian, to be, in trouble. And so she started saying, I've been upset this morning. We've had a lot of problems. We've been fighting and bickering, and and she took ownership of everything. She said, my OCD was getting the best of me. I was trying to clean up a thing. His feet were dirty. I was trying to move our food around. They pulled over prior to this at a natural grocery store and bought some things. When they were leaving, there were witnesses that saw them fighting, I'm going to say bickering, and they actually called the police. It was that bad that they actually called the police. They saw, in their testimony, or what they were saying was basically they weren't sure if he was really doing anything as the aggressor, but it was more like she was being sort of violent towards him, and he pushed her away to kind of get her to stop. So,
and he says that
that same thing. And she kind of alludes to that. And he has visible scratches on his neck, his face. He says that she grabbed the wheel. She says that she did hit his arm. So she said, I didn't ever grab the wheel, but I did like swat at him. So their stories sort of aligned, I thought.
Yeah, but let's just say if I grabbed a wheel, I'm going to probably downplay it and say I hit his arm.
Correct. And
Yes.
also, he might have thought she hit the steering wheel, but really she hit his arm, which hit the steering wheel, which, yeah, she caused him to hit the curb. And so I get all that. And when things are happening so fast like that, you're like, well, I don't know what hit the steering wheel, but something made me swerve off. I didn't do that on my own. It was like, I'm trying to get her to stop hitting me or swatting at me or whatever. And there's the phone involved and whatever. So I do buy kind of all that. So I did find this interesting though. What did you think about the fact that he said they had no money for a hotel?
They probably had very limited money, don't you think?
Okay, first of all, I'm sure they were living off very little money because she actually posts, living off less and all that. Totally, yes. 100% agree. But if you're in a predicament, and maybe I should back up a little bit, the police basically say, look, by law, we can arrest her because with the witnesses and what you guys are saying, she was the aggressor. By law, we can arrest her and take her to jail. We are required in these situations to not look at sex. She's, yes, 5'5", female, 110 pounds, probably not going to be able to overtake you, but the regulations are the way they are. We can't say, well, she's a woman, she wasn't the aggressor. She could have been the aggressor and he could have been trying to bat her off, or kind of stop her. So we can take her to, they say that we have to separate you two for 24 hours.
Okay, maybe he meant that they didn't have additional money. They have enough to get where they're going and doing all of that, but to spend an extra 150 or whatever for a cheap room.
So let's slow down. Let's just take a heartbeat on that. First of all, when you're in a van, you don't know what's going to happen. You could get a pop tire. You could have the brakes do something weird. You could have the transmission. I mean, there's a whole slew of things. So you're going to tell me that those two 22-year-olds left on July to October. They were going to come back on Halloween, I think it was. They were going to be in Oregon in October. You're going to tell me they didn't have a credit card for emergencies?
Two things. Maybe he's saying no, so they can stay together. You know what I mean? Like maybe.
But he goes to the last mile, though.
Have extra money just to spend it like on a room, just to throw it away, basically.
In this situation, he actually said, "Can I go to jail instead of her?" He would have. He
would rather sleep outside than spend the money on a hotel. That's what he was saying.
Correct.
So they were like, yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting probably where if you haven't listened to this, you'd be confused. But here's the deal: the police say, "Look, we need to separate you guys tonight."
Yes.
We can take her to jail, or we can give her the van since she has a valid driver's license. It's actually her van. You can give her the van and we'll take you since you're the victim. This organization will pay for your hotel room. But when they say to him, do you have money for a hotel? He says no. Well, here's two things, Leslie. First of all, if your kid called and said, hey, we've been pulled over, this whole thing happened, we got in a fight, it looks bad, but blah, blah, blah. I, as a parent, would pay $150 for a hotel room. And by the way, I don't think that a Motel 6 or a whatever, Motel 8 or whatever those hotels are even that much. Okay. So we're not talking high class hotel. And the hotel that he ends up staying in does not look like a 5-star hotel, right? It looks like a 2 or a 3. So the deal is that if you called either set of those parents, they would have paid for a hotel room. So what I would have said to him, because they asked, do you have family in Utah? Can somebody stay with somebody? Do you have friends? Whatever. He says no. I don't think they ever asked her, which kind of pissed me off because she talked to her parents. She asked for her cell phone back. She was talking to her parents. I know as a parent, I would have been like, hell yes. Thank you for calling. Here's my credit card number. Put the hotel on my credit card number. Thank you for separating them. I might be even out on the first plane out, right? As a parent. Okay. And maybe that sounds like a little bit of a mama bear. And I maybe wouldn't do that because my husband would calm me down and go, look, they're adults. You need to let them figure this out, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to say that part, but I am also going to say any parent in the world that could afford that would have paid for that. And any couple that is on how many months is that? 4 months, July, August, September, October. Sorry, I got to do my fingers there. For a 4-month trip is going to have a credit card for emergencies if the one arises. Now, being put in jail for domestic abuse is an emergency, in my opinion, and we can spend a little money on that. Let's nip this in the bud and not make this about money. Okay. So that's my first total rant. My second rant is, it was hot out there. Clearly it was hot. And she asks for water and then they offer him one. He had previously said, can I sit in the shade because I'm bald? Right. Which, legitimate. He refuses water because he doesn't want to drink out of plastic. Okay. Did you hear
Is that
that
what he
part?
said?
Yes.
I didn't hear that he said plastic. Okay.
Yes. You had to really be careful. I had to go back and listen to it again to make sure but he basically is kind of refusing it. And they just bring him one. And he says, no, I don't drink out of plastic bottles.
Okay.
So he's clearly an environmentalist. The post that
which
was
also
left,
kind of goes with not wanting to stay in a hotel. It's just extra
correct,
wasted
living
money.
on the land. Right. I
Yes.
totally get that. However, when you are faced with, there was at least 4 policemen there. I saw a park ranger truck. There was at least 4 policemen there. There was a woman, a man who seemed to know everything about domestic abuse, the guy who pulled him over. And then I saw one leave at one point.
Is it customary for all the semis to honk when they walk?
Okay.
Thank
you.
Is it just hey, I got you?
Thank you.
What
Thank
is
you.
that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought they were semis honking, but did you notice, and maybe we're still honking in the car when he and Brian then are driving to the hotel. Did you also notice the honking kept happening? It happened.
While they were driving and they were talking in the thing? Oh, I didn't hear that
I
part.
wondered afterwards if that was like a body cam sound, because at first, Leslie, I could not stop. I was like, I could not stop hearing it. I was like, what the hell is with all these truckers driving by and honking? What? Okay. Is it first? I thought they were just honking at the police. And then I was like, why are they doing that? That's friggin' annoying. And then I'm like, okay, is it the hill? They're passing people. You should, okay. Because the honking was and it seemed to be on an interval. I didn't time that. So thank you for commenting on that, because I totally was annoyed by that. Okay. So I just want to make point back to this is that, okay, they were pulled over October 12th. August 24th, they left oh my gosh, why am I having trouble with that? Salt Lake City, and went to the Grand Tetons. Her last post was on August 25th.
And it's short. I just saw what you mean.
Yes.
A lot of them are really long, and she always hashtags her little side business.
Yes. And the last one did not. Correct.
Yes.
It just did van life.
But then there are a few earlier that it's just really simple as well. Oh no, the last one I saw, it said Happy Halloween or something. Let me go back to the very top one. It just says Happy Halloween, and that's August 25th.
And it's not even Halloween.
No, but she's holding a crocheted pumpkin.
Yes. Okay. So fast forward, I think after body cam at this point, I don't have strong knowledge, proof of what happened. Okay. But Brian arrives back in Florida, September 1st by himself.
Yes.
A week after he arrived back home, when Gabby wasn't home, the police went to Brian's house upon a welfare check from the parents. And at this point, they had already lawyered up. They handed the police the information of the lawyer, and Brian has not been cooperating with police at all since he got home. This is what I've learned. I don't know about you, but I can't imagine. Okay, I'm kind of a hothead, so I'm just going to admit that out of the gate. My husband would never leave me, but I could see myself wanting to leave or whatever. And I could see myself driving away, but I can't see myself staying away for very long. Now, let's just say, okay, well, you're married, you've been together for a long time. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. But I can't imagine Brian, if he truly didn't know what happened to her, had no idea where she was, could have gone that long without communicating with her and knowing where she's at, let alone come back to Florida knowing he left her somewhere and just be silent about it, not call police, not do something. So I'm going to call major red flag right there. And I think that's what most people are doing. Everyone's, I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt here, but I can't imagine just up and leaving somebody like that. I can imagine getting pissed off. I can imagine, needing some time away. I've done that in my own house, getting in a fight and I just get in my car and I go shopping, right? I can imagine that, but I can't imagine not coming back or leaving the state like that. And she's tied to her phone.
Okay. Do you think that he was like secretly the aggressor?
So then see, I've been in the rabbit hole all morning.
Yeah.
I watched a video of some domestic violence experts talking about the body cam footage and what their feelings were. And what the big red flag for them was that she took responsibility for everything. She basically said, this is my fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. I'm sorry. She'd clearly been crying. There were tears in her eyes. Going down that rabbit hole a little bit further, there is video of her at other times and pictures with her eyes red, like she'd been crying. So clearly, I think most people can say they had a tumultuous relationship, or she was very sensitive. I mean, either one, right? So,
okay, she said something interesting, and I want to know if you caught this. Was like they were asking her, and I can't remember when this was. It could have been when they asked her, were you meaning to cause harm?
Correct.
And she says, I was just trying to get him to
listen to me
by attacking him. Like, I mean, that didn't make sense. So that's irrational thought there.
Yes.
But she was trying to get him to listen to her as she's grabbing at his face and, other things. So I think she is like emotionally unstable at times. And I think being away and being with him in a van constantly, it probably increased over their trip.
Yes.
And so I feel like she was just emotionally unstable.
Yes. I think she definitely,
especially if the witnesses saw her kind of going to him and he says, I kind of pushed her away.
Yes.
So in all of their like talking back and forth, I didn't see anything that was like, sometimes something might slip and then you're like, oh, like I didn't see any of that. They stuck to their story, and you can remember a story, but you can't remember a lie. So I don't think neither one of them were lying about any of it. So it seems odd that like, would he just snap and do something to her? Like, to me, it feels more like she's super emotional and maybe they went somewhere and she acted on it and did something and he came home like shocked and she's just not here. And instead of getting help or something.
Well, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because 6 days later, after the incident, after being they were pulled over, sorry. So it must have been August 18th. Two newlyweds, Kylan Schultz, 24, and Crystal Turner, 38. I don't know if you had seen this one when it happened. I had seen it and hadn't put it together that it was related to this case. But they were found murdered at their campsite near Moab. Now, prior to these newlyweds, which if you see the picture of them, one is quite a bit older. She's 14 years older, which I know is so weird that we don't comment when men and women are that much older, but they were quite a bit different ages. Prior to the newlyweds' death, they told friends that they feared a creepy man may harm them that was nearby. So they saw this creeper near their campsite, and then they end up murdered. So there are some that are like, well, where did he drop her? Where did he leave her? Could she have gotten mixed up with this creepy guy? So to your point, There are some people throwing that out. And I think
was the creepy guy him?
Oh,
Oh, you never put that together?
I didn't put that together.
Because they were camping where these people were. They were also went to that grocery store or whatever it was. What was
Do we
that
have
place?
confirmation that they were camping at the same place?
Well, I think they were at that same campsite on that same night, and they shopped at the same place where one of them works.
Moonflower or something like that?
Yeah, they shopped there. That's
Oh,
the grocery store that you, what did you say? Whatever.
I want to
market.
say it's Moonflower, but it's a natural, it sounded like a
Yes.
natural grocery.
So I think one of these ladies actually worked there,
Oh,
and they were camping, I think, at this same campsite.
okay. Well, I do not know that information. I did
Okay.
not find that in my thing. So that would be an interesting, because now I've heard some people saying, no, there's no connection, but Utah police are saying we are investigating to see if there's a connection between.
Because that happened on what day?
That
the murder
happened 6 days later from the actual being pulled over. So it must have been the 18th of August.
Okay, so I guess I need to find out when they were killed.
Now there's
because I thought they were there at the same time.
Oh, okay. I
At
did
the
not
same
know that.
campground.
So there are two things that you read these comments and sometimes you get some good little nuggets. There's two things. One is that in the video, they do a video before they leave, and it was really pretty well done vlog that kind of starts their trip. In the video, people noticed that he was reading Annihilation by Jeff Wandermeer. And apparently that book is about groups of people that explore hard to reach terrain and then go missing. And I think at the end of it, there's like 4 women, missing and dead, presumed dead in this book. So people were like, red flag, look what he's reading in this video. And other people were like, oh my gosh, good, good find, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that predominantly I saw from comments, take this for what you will, they're just comments, is that he really gives a lot of people the Chris Watts vibe. And so then I kind of like put on my face of Chris, how I heard Chris Watts being so helpful and, I'm going to help the police and everything. And I was like, yeah, I kind of see it. I can see how Brian Laundrie was kind of acting like Chris Watts. He wanted nothing to happen to her, which I don't think it would be any other way. I mean, even the worst domestic abuse cases, you see the victim saying, I don't want to cause any problems. I don't want to press charges. So I'm not sure that I'm not 100% in that camp, but I actually could see the similarities between Chris Watts and him.
Okay,
did you see that?
This is crazy. It says here that on August 13th is the last known when these 2 ladies went missing. They were seen leaving a tavern. And then on the 16th, which was a few days later, they were a no-show at work. And then they were found. One of them was found like near their car. But they had planned on moving that weekend. They planned on moving they planned to move their campsite because of the weirdo in the area. Well, when they were leaving, August 12th, right?
Which day did they plan on moving?
It says, okay, they disappeared after a visit to Woody's Tavern in Moab on August 13th. That weekend, so I don't know if it was the weekend before or weekend after. It says that weekend they called friends to say they plan to move their campsite because of a weirdo in the area. So we know on August 12th, which was the Bodycam day,
yes,
that they were leaving and headed somewhere else.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So I guess that wouldn't be the same. Or were they headed to Moab to camp?
Right. I don't know.
Did they?
And he mentioned somewhere specifically that it wasn't Angel's Rest. I can't remember the name of
what was that?
He wanted the police officer to drop him off because he was going to stay. And the police officer was like, well, that's fine, but it's going to be quite a hike for you to get down to town
back to
or
by
out
noon,
of jail
yes.
by noon, or not get her out of jail, get her.
So let me look up Angel's Rest.
Judge. No, it's not Angel's Rest because that's in Zion. It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't Angel's Rest. It was something. it was some name. And I would have to re-listen, I think, to the video.
Okay. I was just trying to do the timeline. Were they in the same places at that time?
Well, they certainly were in the same state, close to the same areas, but I don't know.
So I wonder where they were fighting is where maybe one of the ladies worked.
I believe if what you're saying is correct, that's the same place, the Moonflower or whatever, which I didn't write that down. I'm totally speaking from what I remember from the body cam. But then, yes, I don't know if you can find out and Google real quick, where was it, Kylan or Crystal that worked there?
Well, okay, let's just say this. Let's say little Gabby didn't die during that other murder thing. And are they trying to tie him? I think they may be trying to tie him into those other murders.
Oh, see, I didn't get that at all. I thought that what they were trying to do is say, hey, maybe he did drop her and leave her somewhere, and this murderer got her as well. That's what I took from it. But you know what? I just made that up in my head. You could be right. I
think they were tying him to it, being that like he snapped, and let's just say,
I guess I didn't see him as
he doesn't seem like a murderer at all.
Spontaneous.
I think if anything, like what I thought actually when I was thinking of this, and I don't even know, just seeing her in the videos and how emotional she was and how she really can't control herself when it comes to her being upset. And I'm saying that I kind of felt this way at times, that I feel like maybe she reacted and did something stupid, like, fell, jumped off something, whatever. And he, in shock, whatever, maybe went home instead of getting help or whatever. Like, is that possible?
I didn't see that at all.
Or are they thinking that he murdered her? Like,
well,
I mean, I guess that's what everybody is wondering.
I think my personal opinion is there's two scenarios that could have happened here. One is they got into a big fight. He left her. The other scenario is they got into a big fight. Something happened to her and he left her there. I
think watching him in the body cam, he was like, can she have the van?
Yeah, he was.
He's not going to leave her.
He was also shaky. He was. I agree with you. The body cam video tells me he wasn't just going to leave her in the middle of the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. But then why the hell did he leave her and come home and say, oh,
okay. I think she's dead. And whether she did or he did it. Maybe she would have shown up right now, right? Like when she
yes, I think so. The only other scenario that I could see that, as we were discussing, that could have happened, is that she said, look, I'm done, or we're done, whatever. I'm going to go and I'm going to fly home. And this is where I'm going, whatever. It doesn't align with we don't have money for one hotel room. But if she called her parents would pay for her flight home.
Well, they would know where she was right now.
But she would, yeah, exactly. But she would have probably already called and he would have dropped her off in an airport. I mean, unless she just got so frustrated one night.
Got her bag and left.
Grabbed her bag and left. And then something happened to her that.
Okay. Why wouldn't he just tell people that story then?
I agree. And that's my thing with him not communicating. First of all, he would have woke up the next morning and go, oh my God, we got in this big fight. She walked off. I got to go find her. Like at that point, he would have went to police.
You don't drive all the way back to Florida.
No, you do not drive all the way back to Florida. That is my point about this. Something is amiss with his story. You would, and by the way, even now, okay, let's just pretend you could have the balls to go back to Florida without your girlfriend or whatever. And then you realize, wait, she's missing. I know her. I know she's not going to be off social media. I know she's not going to contact her parents. She's not going to go this long without contacting her parents. I'm going back to the place we just were. Like I'm going to drive, fly.
You know who did this? This is that chick that pushed the boyfriend off at Ecola State Park.
Yes.
We did that episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then didn't she just go home or something?
She
Random?
went home and then she packed her stuff and then
Yeah.
moved.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't do that. I mean,
and she lived with him and his parents. Remember?
yes. Yes. Okay, you just don't do that. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that there could be another way this turned out. You know, this murder who murdered these two ladies could have murdered her too. But I can't get beyond the fact that he left without her. I think you're absolutely right.
Well, did
How?
you see that her parents have written his parents a letter?
Yes, I heard
And
it.
then did you see that there was an interview with his sister?
I didn't watch the interview. I did
Yeah.
know that there was a sister.
It basically was just like,
Yeah.
we
Love
miss
them.
her, like we're looking for her, or like we're concerned.
My
but
kids love her, and I love her like a sister, and I've been
Yeah.
talking with police and cooperating, and so
but she never mentions why her brother isn't saying or
No.
anything.
no, or the stability of her parents. But the letter, we should say,
it reveals what the public saw during the couple's altercation in Utah. A little bit more about that. Perhaps a little bit different perspective, though, than we first thought, at least some of us. Police separated the two, and remember, no charges were ever filed.
But should they have done more after what we learned today? Fox 13's Dan Maddox puts the 911 call into the timeline.
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her?
A newly released 911 phone call sheds a light on what others witnessed at the end of a month-long cross-country trip and clearly a stressed relationship. Gabby Petito and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, spent the month of July on a cross-country sightseeing tour. A 911 call just obtained from August 12th is the first indication something was wrong when a man in Moab, Utah, told dispatchers he saw Brian slapping her.
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off. Okay, you said it's a white van?
Laundrie told police that Gabby hit him with her phone and grabbed the van's steering wheel to make him pull over as police followed them.
You were hitting him in the arm? Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I
You did not touch the steering wheel.
The two were separated for the night and no charges were ever filed. On August 19th, a now eerie video was posted to YouTube detailing their van life journey.
Gabby, Petito, never goes outside.
Giving a glimpse into their life on the road. On August 25th, Gabby posted her final Instagram photo from Utah and made what was the last phone call to her family from Grand Teton National Park. The van was captured on video in the park 2 days later. A TikTok user claimed to give Brian a ride the evening of August 29th. They say he was hitchhiking in the area. On August 30th, Gabby's mom said she received a strange text message from her daughter that read, "No signal in Yosemite," referring to the national park in California. Laundrie returned home to Florida on September 1st in the same van, but without Gabby. And 10 days later, her family reported her missing to New York authorities on September 11th. On September 17th, Northport police went to the Laundrie home. The family attorney revealed that Brian's whereabouts were unknown and that he was last seen the morning of September 14th before going hiking. On September 19th, law enforcement in Grand Teton National Park, Wyoming, found a body similar to Gabby's description, where she was last believed to be seen.
My name is Miranda Baker, and on August 29th, my boyfriend and I picked up Brian at Grand Teton National Park at 5:30 at night at Coulter Bay. I'm hoping this can help someone identify him because I saw him from TikTok, which then made me call the authorities, and my boyfriend and I have been in contact with a bunch of different people to help piece together different parts of this case, but we picked him up at Coulter Bay, like I said, at 5:30. He approached us asking us for a ride because he needed to go to Jackson, which we were going to Jackson that night. So I said, hop in. He hopped in the back of my Jeep. We then, proceeded to make small talk. But before he came in the car, he offered to pay us like $200 to give him a ride, like 10 miles. So that was kind of weird. He then told us he's been camping for multiple days without his fiance. He did say he had a fiance, and that she was working on their social media page back at their van. Then once in conversation, I brought up, yep, like, we're going to Jackson. He freaked out. He's like, nope, I need to get out right now. Like, pull over. So we pulled over at the Jackson Dam, which I don't know if you know, like, Teton Park, but it's not very far from Coulter Bay. And if this does, like, reach people, I can post pictures of, exactly where we were. We picked him up and the whole route or whatever, and like screenshots of like the timestamps. We dropped him off at 6:09 p.m. on August 29th. He kind of like hurried out of the car, and then he's like, okay, I'm just gonna go find someone else to, hitchhike. And we're like, okay. It was a weird situation. So when we picked him up, he was wearing a backpack, he had a long sleeve pants, hiking boots, and he had like scruff. But he didn't look dirty. For someone who was camping for multiple days, like, he didn't look dirty, he didn't smell dirty, so that part was kind of weird. And I'm just really hoping that they find her, and this helps someone, like, remember seeing him or, something like that.
To clarify a few things that people are confused on still, when he asks to ride, he has to go to Jackson, which, if you're familiar with this area, a lot of people call Jackson Hole Jackson. So that's why I said yes to giving him a ride. But you think any good hiker would know south and north. We were going south out of the park when he said he was camping north. He had told us that him and Gabby were not camping on a regulated campsite through the national park, that they were camping basically out in the middle of nowhere along Snake River. This is key information. He said that he had hiked for days along Snake River, but when looking at his backpack, it wasn't full, and he said all he had was a tarp to sleep on, which you think if you're going camping for days on end, you'd want food in a tent, and he had none of that. And like I said, he looked clean.
So this is a view of the whole journey with Brian. So that's the top at the park at Coulter Bay, and then we drove him to this dam right here. Then at the dam, we dropped him off at this little turnout, and he said he was going to walk across the street to the parking lot, which was full of people, to continue hitchhiking and look for a ride, because he freaked out when I said Jackson Hole. He said we needed to pull over, even though Jackson and Jackson Hole are the same thing. It's the same town itself. This is the text I sent to my mom at 6:09, right when he got out of the car, saying I was okay because she was freaking out. This is at the park, or at the pickup location, and we were taking a shower. We then walked across, and our car was parked on the left side of the picture, and he talked to us right in the middle. And he was talking to my boyfriend the entire time, but I was the one actually talking, and he was not frantic, and he was very nice, very polite to us.
I had to remake my video. It seems like I had done enough TV, I would be good at this, but this is my first TikTok. This is in regards to the Brian Laundrie and Gabby, the missing girl. I had taken a trip at the end of August from Louisiana up through Colorado and Montana and Wyoming. I picked a friend up at the Jackson Hole Airport on August 26th, Thursday, that morning. And we went through Jackson Hole. Then we went through the Tetons and Yellowstone. We came out the West Gate, and we stayed at West Yellowstone, Montana, for the evening. We went out to a restaurant that night called Bullwinkle's, and about 10 o'clock we moved into the bar. There was us and another couple that we had met while we were eating dinner. We were discussing things, politics, guns, hunting, all the stuff you don't talk about in a bar. And there was a guy at the end of the bar that was just quiet. He was visibly bothered or mad, it looked like, when we came in. And I guess our conversation just kind of irritated that fact when he finally made a comment, something about stupid Southerners and Republicans. And I kind of laughed and said, well, where are you from? And he said that he was from New York in a pretty strong New York accent, and said his name was Brian. And I said, as we laughed, I said, well, you picked an odd place, the middle of nowhere, a small town in Montana. What did you expect, that you weren't going to run into being conservatives or Republicans? Anyway, not much else was said. He made a couple of remarks, and we went back to our conversation. It was just a creepy encounter. It was one of those situations where it was kind of one of those people. It was almost like he looked through you. I didn't notice him using a phone, things that the FBI have asked. We did notice that he had a backpack. We left about 11:50, and he was still there. My friend was visibly uncomfortable. She even made a comment on the way to the car about serial killers and kept watching behind us to make sure he wasn't following us. And I assured her that it wasn't an issue. I mean, I'm concealed carry. I was actually armed when we were in the bar. And we went to the hotel. We did talk about it on the way home. It was odd. In the last few days, though, we've watched the news and realized that was the guy. That was Brian, this girl's fiance. So we contacted the FBI. Both of us made reports to the FBI, and just kind of watching the news now and seeing where it goes. But that was our encounter.
We're going to begin with the news alert just in from the Teton County coroner in Wyoming, confirming the body found in Grand Teton National Park is Gabby Petito, and she was killed. Her death now ruled a homicide. This comes as the search remains ongoing for Gabby's fiance, Brian Laundrie. Let's get straight out to Fox 13's Josh Cassio is live in Northport near the Laundrie's home. So this is a big development, expected, but a big development, Josh.
Yeah, Kelly, this is another major piece of a very, twisted puzzle. Let's dive a little deeper into what we're learning right now. This tweet just came in a few minutes ago. It comes from the FBI field office in Denver. We can now confirm a few things that had been up in the air. First, yes, it is official now. Those are the remains of Gabby Petito found in Wyoming Sunday. We also know from Teton County Coroner Dr. Brent Blue that the initial manner of death is homicide. And to be clear, homicide means the killing of one person caused by another. Now, the coroner says the cause of death at this point is still pending the final autopsy results. So we can't say exactly how Gabby died, but it appears she was killed by someone else. This, of course, will ratchet up the heat on Brian Laundrie, who investigators are still searching for. As far as we know right now, he is still considered a person of interest in the case, though no one will be surprised if that changes very soon. As for out here at the Laundrie home, it's been mostly quiet today, but of course we could start to see that change in the coming hours and days based on this latest news, again confirming that Gabby died by homicide, which means she was killed by someone else, Kelly. A major development in this ongoing case.
Well,
Anyway.
Leslie, we forgot
Yes.
to say at the end of last podcast. I don't know.
I
if
know you said that.
And I just said goodbye, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like,
I know. And if I would have
Yeah.
caught that, I would have spliced it from another show at least.
I know. So
What was I thinking?
And I texted Leslie after listening, and I was like, "We didn't even say, stay curious, stay suspicious, stay open."
Open.
All right,
All
listeners,
right.
thank you for listening. Please hit subscribe, please leave us a review, a good review.
Share with your friends.
Share with your friends. That's right.
Sharing is caring.
We appreciate all of you for listening, and we will see you next week.
Next week.
Next week.